Hello everyone and welcome to JournalForGills. My name is Lewis and in today's episode of JFG Meets we have former Gillingham defender Danny Jackman on the show. Obviously, unfortunately, due to the current coronavirus pandemic, we were apart when having the chat, so it did have to be a phone interview, but do stay tuned for inside stories on Danny's life as a young lad at Villa, dropping down for football, joining Gillingham, having to leave, success followed by failure at Northampton, going back to Priestfield, missing out on the playoffs, leaving halfway through the title-winning season, settling down at Kidderminster, coaching, future ambitions and more. Enjoy. So we're now joined by former Gillingham star Danny Jackman. Danny, thank you for coming on, mate. I appreciate it. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm very good, thanks. No problems.
Good, nice one. So we'll start off a question we ask everyone that comes on. What got you into football at the start?
Generally, I think it was just a passion for kicking a little round thing around. I think my grandparents will tell stories of me when I was sort of like 18 months old, just walking around, just kicking a football, and I don't think people could believe that, you know, someone that could barely walk was able just to go around kicking a football around. So literally from earliest memories of my mum and dad and my grandparents of kicking a ball around. And then things were a lot different back then when I started playing. I didn't start till I was about 10 or 11.
Right.
So I was quite, you know, people are doing it, kids are doing it at 6 and 7 now. So I was a lot older. So, you know, it was just general kind of grassroots football, local team. And I think there was one of two teams to choose at that time in where I was living in Worcester. So, yeah, not a great choice. But, yeah, that's where it all started for me. And then got picked up by Villa when I was 11.
And I was going to ask, to tell the story about getting into the game, sort of the elite game, and I think you just mentioned there getting picked up by Villa when you were 11. How was the process growing up there at the club?
Yeah, it was amazing. Obviously got picked up at 11 and then went right there through the academy, through to going to get my pro as well, and then to then end up being sold for money was an amazing experience to kind of see how the top elite pros do things and train with them on a daily basis, pick up on their kind of their great work ethic and their attitudes of you know, both positive and negative, you know, and sort of learn a lot from them. It was the types of like people like Paul Merson and David Ginola and some sort of like some really top stars. So to learn off them for the amount of time that I did was like such a valuable experience and something that, you know, I will always be grateful and thankful of.
And when you're sort of getting older, like you say, you start to go out on loan a bit. I believe I'm right in saying you had spells at Cambridge and Stockport.
Yeah.
How did those loan spells help you learn about the game?
It was a massive shock. Like when I went to Cambridge, they were rock bottom of League One. Yeah. You know, we went there and I went there and it was going straight into a men's environment and, you know, not the sort of facilities that you were used to at Villa and stuff like that. And you see so many youngsters that struggle because of not being able to adapt from, you know, the glamorous lifestyle of the training grounds at these top clubs. So then going into kind of, you know, where it is tough going. But, you know, that Cambridge spell was really good. I loved it. Managed to get to the kind of, I think it's been called so many different names, but the LDV, it was back then, Trucker Trade kind of final. Played at Millennium Stadium, so that was like, you know, a hell of an experience to kind of experience at 18 years old. So, you know, that was pretty special really. And then moving on to Stockport, that's where I ended up sort of going signing from by the initial spell on loan there, again full of like proper men, like real men, and they seemed so old at that time. You know, like proper men. And you know, you look at the kids nowadays and the players playing, and they look so young, and even when they're older they still look young, but back then it was proper old style kind of men really. And you know, you have to learn to sort of like, you know, adapt and grow up quite quickly and survive in that environment, which was, you know, it was a good process both on and off the pitch.
And I was talking to someone else a bit earlier on today. He's only sort of early 20s, and he was he'd sort of done the rounds playing at a higher club and then going on loan to a sort of lower down club to get the experience. And at Gillingham now we've got the likes of Alfie Jones, Tom O'Connor coming in to try and get that men's football. How important do you think it is to go and get that men's experience early on in your career when you're still in the academy sort of thing, or still very young?
Yeah, I think it's really important because as good as academy football is and learning to play the right way and styles, we all know that, you know, when you go into real football, it's a results business, and people's jobs and and sort of are at stake. So it's, you know, all this nicely kind of playing football on the edge of your own box and stuff like that is good, but it has its place as well. And when you start going into a men's game where results matter, whether you're going to be going for promotion or relegation, then it's a completely different style of play, and, you know, it's a little bit artificial in that sense.
Yeah, sure.
But, you know, it's really important to be able to be competitive and to be able to kind of deal with the physical side of things more so, because, you know, it is a physical game, and especially in certain positions, you know, you are kind of in the mix in central midfield or up front or at centre back, you know, and it's a constant learning curve playing against seasoned pros, and it is, you know, what my advice would be is any youngsters out there, get out on loan and play as much men's football as you can, because it does sort of like ready for your own kind of development and playing styles as well. And you learn so much as well. You learn so much of, you know, what will work in certain games and what won't work and stuff like that. So it's a vital part of your education, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And you did go on, as I believe you already mentioned, to sign for Stockport permanently on a permanent deal. How did leaving Aston Villa feel and come about?
I'd played most of the pre-season with the first team and stuff like that, and been on tours with them and stuff, and I thought I was doing quite well. Wow. David O'Leary was the manager at the time, and, you know, I got my squad number, and I was kind of in and around. I travelled with the team a few times and stuff like that, so I thought I was starting to make my kind of progression. And then they said, do you need to get a bit more experience? And so I went out on loan to get some proper, like, men's football in readiness to try and kind of be available and stuff like that. And, you know, I just enjoyed my time at Stockport, and I was enjoying playing again against some top teams as well, and, you know, some big teams. I think QPR was my first game that I played against, you know, and, you know, they're a big club, and I just enjoyed it so much that I kind of thought, well, I knew that the manager wasn't really a fan of me deep down. I knew.
Okay.
And when you're younger, you think, well, what do I want to do? Do I just want to sit here and just not get a look in and play reserve games every week, or do I want to go out and play some first team football in front of big crowds and stuff like that? So I made the decision to kind of do it. You know, and you always look back, because I don't think David O'Leary lasted much longer after I signed. So you look back and you think, well, might I have played more? Or, you know, but, you know, I've gone on to have quite a good career, so I can't really grumble at that. But you never know what if. But equally, if I had stayed, then I might not have had the career I had. So, you know, I've got to be thankful for what I actually did achieve, really. So, yeah, it's everyone wants one of those crystal balls that they could wish to make the right decisions every time. Yeah,
no, it sounds like a pretty big decision to make then.
Yeah.
Going down on that. How was your time at Stockport? A good couple or so years there?
Yeah, it was a good couple of years, and kind of made some good friends and stuff like that, and played again with some top players. Ashley Williams, the centre back for Wales and stuff. Ricky Lambert was in the team with us as well. Aaron Wilbraham, who's still playing now.
Yeah.
And, you know, quite a few good goalkeepers as well. There was a striker called Luke Beckett. He was really good at that time. Yeah. Neil Cutler was the goalie. Who's the Villa's goalkeeping coach now. So, you know, some really top players, and, you know, and you've seen what they went on to do and who they played for, and, you know, it was good that I was part of that as well, really. So it was a good experience.
And in terms of then going on to play for Gillingham, the first time round in 2005, how did that move come around?
Again, managers chop and change, and then sometimes a manager comes in and doesn't perhaps like your style of play, or doesn't like you as, you know, as a person or as a player or whatever. And I think on this particular occasion, it was like it's been in through a lot of my career. Height comes into it a hell of a lot, and there was a guy that came in and I was just too short for him. So he made it clear that I wouldn't be playing, and I'd be probably best looking for a club elsewhere, which I did. And then I came down to Gillingham and sort of like had a couple of games with him during the pre-season, and, you know, things went well, thankfully, and the rest is history, really. So you know, it was probably a bit of a, especially being, I was only 21 at that time, 22. Yeah. So I was probably, you know, not the most experienced still. So to kind of go down there and and have the couple of years that I did down there was, I was really thankful for it, really, and I actually loved my time down there as well, so that's why I came back.
And in this first season, I think that was the season we'd just come down from the Championship. What were the ambitions going into the League One season?
Well, it was a big transition from the club coming down, and there was a lot of, again, Championship players and players that were coming to probably the end of their careers.
Right.
Smudger was one of them. Hesse was there in the change room at the time.
Yeah. Trigger
was there as well. So there was quite a lot of players really that was there, and it was full of big characters. Like I said, I went in there, and Saunder was in there as well, and there were some big characters that you thought, crikey, O'Reilly, this is going to be tough going.
Yeah.
So, I think there was a big transition from the level they were playing at and the wages they were on, possibly from the league above. So there was a big transition from that side of it. But, I luckily managed to sort of get in there and play some games and stuff like that. And I think a few of them kind of went on to do other things elsewhere and stuff like that. But it was, it was definitely a club in transition. But also, a relatively big club as well from just come down.
Yeah.
I don't think it started too well with Neil Cooper.
Yeah.
Which was a shame because he was a lovely, lovely guy, but I think it didn't quite work out. And then obviously Ronnie took over, and me and Ronnie had it was obviously when a new manager comes in and stuff like that, and you have to try and prove yourself again, and you might not necessarily be everyone's cup of tea at the start, and I managed to win Ronnie round, and yeah, so it was a good time. Like I said, it was a lot of struggles and some times where it was really hard, but that's part and parcel of being a pro footballer. There's a lot of stuff that goes on that people don't see and realise, and a lot of rubbish that you do have to put up with. There's a lot more lows than there are highs as well. So yeah, it's something that a lot of people don't necessarily realise that goes on behind the scenes.
You mentioned that we didn't start great that first season, and obviously there was a management change. What was the mentality and the changes that Ronnie Jepson sort of integrated into the squad?
I think it was kind of his kind of direct style of play that he wanted.
Yeah.
He wanted the ball up there and up quite quickly, and not too much playing around at the back. Just get it forward and and let us sort of express ourselves a little bit in their half, really. And it was all about high tempo, being really, really fit and physical and quite strong as well. It had to be strong. So I suppose it's probably going down his old style managers that he's probably come through, and the Pulises and the whole maybe and that style of play, really. So he had that. Maybe even Warnock, I think, as well. I think he played under Warnock, so that style of play was his sort of his ideal. So it's not for everyone, but it was that was probably one of the best. That and Northampton were probably the best change rooms that I played in, particularly in terms of the team togetherness and stuff like that.
Okay.
You do find that sort of sometimes other influences not within the squad do push the squad together.
Okay.
Which is quite funny, and certain things went on that year that it made us as a squad even stronger together as a group. Yeah. So that was probably one of the closest knit groups that we had, or I had anyway. So that was good. Really enjoyed that year, and there was a lot of fun characters as well within that season. So it was a good time.
And in terms of the 2 years, the first time, I think it was 2 sort of low mid-table finishes. How would you assess, from a personal point of view, your first spell at Gillingham?
Mixed, basically, on that one. I mean, I kind of won myself into the team and started to do really well, and obviously then Neil left, and then Ronnie came in, and Ronnie didn't fancy me at the start, and he'll probably admit the same thing.
Yeah.
And I had quite a long spell, a bit of a spell, not in the team, and I remember I think we played Millwall away, I think it was, and we weren't doing that great at the time, and I can't remember who was playing in my place at the time, and I just remember the fans were singing my name, and they seemed to sing it for a good few weeks in a row.
Yeah.
They were just singing my name throughout the game, and and I think it was shortly after that I got my chance, and then I kind of took it, and became a proper regular under Ronnie then, and ended up getting an award or two, I think, in my first spell at the club. And then he wanted me he actually then offered me a deal to stay, but I chose a different option at that point.
And speaking of that different option, it was Northampton. Why did you decide to leave, and why Northampton?
The relationship that I had with Ronnie at that time, I just felt that I probably needed to get away, and have a fresh start somewhere else. And it wasn't. I'd loved the club massively. I did love the club, but in terms of what relationship I had with him, it was kind of it was. I wasn't sure whether it would last. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Not through just through different footballing styles, really.
Yeah. Okay.
And different characters and stuff like that, really. And I just felt that it was a little bit closer back towards the Midlands for me, which is where I'm from. And so I played under Stuart Gray, was the manager, and he was a massive reason why I wanted to go to there, because Stewie was was assistant manager or coach at Villa when I was there, so I knew him and I had a good relationship with him, and and his philosophies matched mine. Playing football, proper football, and getting it down on the floor and trying to play. And he was a massive reason why I signed there, and he was probably one of the best managers I had in terms of his styles and everything like that. His sessions were always like top draw and stuff like that, and I absolutely loved my couple of seasons with him at Northampton. It was amazing, and a slightly smaller club, or kind of but in terms of what we achieved under that first year with him was like nothing short of remarkable, really.
Yeah.
In League One, so we did really, really well, and there were some big teams in there like Leeds, Forest, Swansea, some really, really big teams. So for us to be where we were, it was really, really kind of, we had a great squad, and we had a great style of play, and we played 3-5-2, and it worked, and it was just it was awesome, and on a personal level I did well, and it was it was good. It was good.
So you had a couple of years at Northampton, and in between the 2 years you signed a new contract, didn't you? Was that a no-brainer for you?
Yeah, well, I'd won Player of the Year in my first year, and I then went on to win Player of the Year in the second year as well.
Yeah.
So I think they were like keen to tie me down, and I was happy at that point, and I didn't think that we were going to go on and have the disastrous season that happened. So I sort of said yes. I think it was probably to warn off a few other clubs that were interested in me at the time, but perhaps looking back, that might have not been the greatest of ideas. But anyway, I did it and signed, and then the club had a bit of a bad run and ended up getting relegated, which again was frustrating. But I'd had a good season. I was, like I said, Player of the Year and won everything that year again. So it was kind of frustrating on that sense, and obviously I had that other year next year. Then it was going to be in League Two.
Yeah.
So that was a real, that was one thing that I was really, really gutted about, was the fact that we got relegated, really, especially having such a strong season the year before.
Yeah.
That was a real bit of disappointment.
The year you left Gillingham first time, Gillingham went down the year after. And
yes.
I know it's a lot easier to say it now, sitting here looking back, because it was in between two periods at Gillingham, but did it impact you in any way, the fact that Gillingham had got relegated?
It did. It was, I was gutted, really. I was gutted for the club, because obviously I still had a lot of friends there, a lot of teammates there, and a lot of people from outside the club that I was kind of friends with, and that was always such a club. That was probably one of the first clubs I looked for the results after. Okay. So, from my decision to leave, it probably seemed like the right decision, and it proved that, because that year that they got relegated, Yeah. So it was tough, and I think I was at the game that we played at Sixfields, and they got a bit of a hiding, I think it was, and so it was a bit of a tough time to play and do quite well against them, and it was not nice to see them struggle like that. Really, really, really tough.
And at Northampton, you mentioned the relegation year, the second time round, and I think it was a point or something, wasn't it? But How was that season overall? You said it wasn't so great, but what was it like inside the dressing room and that?
I mean, it was a bit of a different changing room. You know, that very first year that I had, we had there. It was like the team spirit was like, you know, again like the Gills one, it was second to none. There was a real togetherness within the group. And then the second year, there was a few characters that come in and didn't help the team or the squad dynamics and the changing room and stuff like that. And you hear it so much, but it really does affect the morale of the squads and stuff like that, you know. And you get some people pulling in the right direction, you get others pulling in the opposite direction, so it doesn't help at all. Yeah. It's probably something that I've learned more as I've got older, how that is so important to a squad. Yeah. And yeah, I think that definitely affected it majorly, really. So you know, that was really, like I said, bitterly disappointing to go from one extreme to the other the following year. So you know, really saddening to happen.
Okay, and then going back to Gillingham, your second time round, I think you've probably summarised it in terms of Northampton have just gone down. It's not what it once was. You went back to Gillingham under Stimson. Club's just come up. Is that sort of the reason? Because one club's gone down, one club's come up, sort of thing?
Yeah, the year that obviously Northampton got relegated, Gillingham had just come up, and I was kind of like wanting to play as high as I could for as long as I could. Yeah. So you know, it was like, well, going back to a club that I kind of felt that I'd left in circumstances where, you know, I'd just gone for the one manager and stuff like that, and I'd left because of probably the other manager. So it was kind of like, well, I felt like I'd had unfinished business there, really. Yeah. And I did the pre-season at Northampton, but I'd had a bit of a knee issue. Yeah. And it was actually quite sore. No one could find out what it was, and so I missed a lot of pre-season, and then obviously I signed, and I'd asked for a transfer because I wanted to try and play as high as I could for as long as I could. Yeah. And Northampton were being a bit stubborn with it, and it's just the way that things get played out. So I hadn't trained for about a month, and then I obviously signed for Gillingham, and the manager wanted me to go down and watch the game. I thought it was just to watch the Blackburn game. Okay. And I got there, and he kind of said, would you go on the bench? I was like, oh, not really. I didn't really want to go on the bench because it looked like I was not wanting to play for Northampton the whole time, and then first opportunity, you know, I'm there on the bench, so it kind of felt a bit uneasy. But he's a new manager; you have to do what he says, really. Okay. So I kind of like, I sat on the bench, and he said, "Look, just go up and warm up and down a couple of times, take your applause, and it's just good for the squad and good for the morale." And I was like, right, okay. And then, like, after an hour or 65, 70 minutes, he turned around and said, "You're going to go on?" I was like, "Really?" I was like, and then all of a sudden I just started thinking, oh, this is going to go down terribly at Northampton's end. Yeah. So it looks like I just kind of like was refusing to play for the club. So I carried on playing, and I ended up getting the knee injection in the back of the knee, which is what was causing the issue. Yeah. But to everyone else, the outside, it looks like I just hadn't bothered, and I wanted to just leave and not play for the club again. Yeah. So that was disappointing, because you go from like really legendary sort of status there to kind of being the most hated person in the world. Yeah. So I do get that, but obviously people don't know the full story of everything, which is, again, it's a lot of politics behind the scenes and stuff like that, so I understand that. But yeah, then signed for the Gills, and I dislocated my shoulder, which was a great start. Yeah, no, I like, just going back to what you said about not knowing the full story, I spoke to Danny Kedwell the other day, and he was talking about when he left Wimbledon after literally being a hero there, getting him back into the Football League, and to sign for Gillingham, and like behind the scenes everyone's like the fans were all losing their head, but then they need to know the full story, sort of thing. So it must be tough from a footballer's point of view. But yeah, there's lots of decisions why you do it. Like, you know, at that level, you're not doing it for the money. Yeah. It's not as if you're going from, like, you know, 100 quid to like 4,000 quid or anything like that. It's nothing like that, or 50 grand, whatever. You're not doing it for the money. You're doing it for playing at a higher level for as long as you can, really. Yeah. You know, and I think that the money that I ended up moving from Northampton to Gillingham was like a couple of hundred quid, if that. So it wasn't even like I was going to doing it for the money. Yeah. So it wasn't that case at all. It was just the fact that I wanted to play as high as I could. Yeah. So that's frustrating, but obviously fans don't see that. They think you're going for the money, you think you're going for whatever, but you know, but it's just like, it is difficult, but fans are passionate about their club and they love their club and they don't want to see assets leave their club and they don't want to see anything bad happen to their club, do they? So
no.
It is what it is, unfortunately, and players get caught in the middle of it.
And in that season, like you say, you had the knee problem, and you like you said earlier, you dislocated your shoulder as well, led to missing a fair chunk of the season. I feel like I remember. And
yeah.
How hard was it for you? Obviously, you'd just gone back, and it's a very stagnated start, sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I missed near enough 4 months that first season. So yeah. I think I did it in September or October. I didn't get back till late Feb. And obviously, I was watching the team sort of struggle as well, which was really hard. And then again, struggle to get my fitness back, obviously, because it's hard to get back up to speed after all that time. And it's really, really tough. And seeing trying to get into a struggling team, and confidence is low around everyone and stuff like that. You do struggle. Yeah. And I think the team we ended up getting relegated that year, which was devastating, really.
Yeah.
I think it was that year, yeah, because that was under Stimson, wasn't it? Stimmo. So, that was devastating. I remember just sort of not playing a great deal at all that whole year, and just think, oh my God,
Yeah.
Which was devastating because I hadn't really kicked a ball, so it was pretty devastating, really. Especially that you hope that it'd go completely differently in your mind, and it's just been a disaster season, really. So yeah, it was hard to take.
Did you have offers to stay in League One? Because like you say, you wanted to play as high as possible.
No, I didn't really. I didn't have any offers to move on anywhere else, because I think the following season, again, Hesse came in then. I think it was Hesse that came in.
Yeah.
And I still had another year or two on my deal because I just signed a 3-year deal. Then managers come in and players need to be moved on to get other players in. So I think I started the season. Well, I didn't even start the season. He kind of told me in pre-season that I wouldn't be playing for him. And I was like, well, okay, that's fine. And obviously there's lots of politics again about moving clubs and stuff like that. So I just stuck it out. I just sort of thought, well, I'm going to try and prove you wrong.
Yeah.
And I managed to break into the team and get in and get my chance and stuck at it. And then I played most of the season, to be honest.
And after missing out on the playoffs on goal difference the first season back in League Two, what was the aim going into the second year? Because you've got to be thinking higher at that point.
Yeah, we obviously then started thinking, right, we're not far off here, and I don't think much of the squad changed, which is, again, credit to Hesse for keeping that together, and the chairman as well. We brought a few players in as well, I think he did. I can't remember. Kids came in, and a couple others as well. You always look back on results where you think, oh, man, what could have been and stuff like that, really, but
yeah,
it was a shame.
When we did just miss out, obviously there was a lot of disappointment the second time from the fans, and I think people sort of knew that was it in terms of the whole management situation. But what was the feeling inside the camp? You kind of, you weren't too sure. Our lads were surprised that he went. Okay. But
then there's others that weren't too surprised as well. So it's kind of a bit of a mixed bag, really. And certain players would obviously be gutted for him to go because they kind of liked him and stuff like that. And then there'll be other players that will be pleased because they'll kind of, it's a sort of clean slate, if you like. So yeah, it was just a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, I obviously, me and Hesse told me at the start that he didn't want me.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, I'd won him round, and we became quite close. And he trusted me and well liked by the end of it. So on a personal level, I was a bit gutted and disappointed to see him go, really. But it's a results business, as he knows, and we all know. So it was time for a change, I suppose, the chairman thought. But
you did get Player of the Year that year.
Yeah.
How was your relationship with the Gillingham fans, would you say?
Good. I thought it was quite good. I loved how they supported the club passionately, and I think it kind of resonated with me. How much it meant to them, and not being a local lad, it's probably one of the clubs that I had a bit of a real strong affiliation with, and I felt really close to, and so although I wasn't local boy, I was I felt like I was, if that makes sense, and it was my club as well.
Yeah.
So that kind of that made me kind of work even harder and try and be the best I could, and that's why every time I put the shirt on, I always tried my best and always tried my hardest for the team and for the fans and for the club as a whole, really. And I think that's hopefully what people would have remembered, that I always gave my absolute lot for the team and the club, really. So, it was a club that I loved, really. Yeah, it was a club that I loved.
So Hesden Tyler's gone. Martin Allen comes in. What was Martin Allen like? Because obviously we hear a lot of stories as fans. What was he like behind closed doors?
Well, obviously I got Player of the Year the season before and stuff like that, and the chairman wanted me to sign a new deal, and I said, I will, but I've heard that there's a few names flying around, and I've heard Martin Allen's name is one of them to get the job. And I said, I don't think that I will be his type of player. So if that's the case, then that's fine. Yeah. I'm happy, to sort of just move on now.
Okay.
Because I don't think that I would have been his type of player. Okay. So he's like, no, well, his name is in the hat, and blah blah blah, and his name is in the hat, but he's not one of the front runners and stuff. I was like, he said, sign your deal, and you'll be all right, you'll be okay. So I thought, right, he'll be okay then. He's not gonna say all that and then change. So signed my deal. Then about a week and a half later, Martin only gets a notice. I was like, oh great. I was like, oh, what are the chances? So I was like, okay, cool. So with every manager that comes in, you hear stories about them, and you think, well, until I'm proven correct, I'll just go in with an open mind and do as I've always done, is try to prove myself and do the best I can and stuff like that. It's normally worked. And obviously, I'll never forget the first time I met him. I'd sort of jarred my knee in pre-season just before he got there. Okay. Always had an injection in it, and I wandered over while some of the lads were running, and he was sat on a drinks container, right. And he kind of caught me out the corner of his eye. Didn't even look at me. He went, "You're that Player of the Year, aren't you?" I was like, "Yeah." He went, "Oh, that's interesting." And I was like, "Right, yeah, this isn't going to go well." I knew straight away. And that's before I'd even kicked the ball. Right. So I managed to start the season, but just something just didn't feel right, and you just think that it's only a matter of time till he's trying to get me out, and subsequently that I didn't play a great deal, and again, I think I was being fully committed, and in one game I kind of won one tackle, got up and tried to win in the second one, and I got a red card for it, and I missed 3-game ban. I had a 3-game ban that was over 3 Saturdays, so it took forever to go, the ban. And that was the beginning of the end. And I didn't really get back in after that, and it felt like the excuse he was waiting for, really, which is a shame. But okay. And then I didn't play a great deal after that. I was just on the bench and would make substitute appearances, and any player will tell you that it's hard to recreate any form when you're doing that, and you don't turn into a bad player overnight, but if you're not playing regularly, you're not going to get the best out of a player. So I got to about January time, and that was where it was, the window was open then. So I was kind of like, well, I'm not playing a great deal. Although the team were doing well, I felt like I didn't want to be one of those that would just sit back and just ride on the sort of the dovetails of the success, really. So I didn't want to do that, and it was probably, I was so made up for the lads and the team and the fans that when they eventually got promoted that year, I was so proud of it. But to be not part of it and not be part of the celebrations at the end was a bit of a hard one to take, really. Yeah. But equally, everyone had such a high from it. It was like, you couldn't really be too disappointed in things, because it's the club that you wanted to get up, really. So bit of a mixed situation, mixed feelings, really. The whole relationship with Martin Allen, would you say it was more personal, or was it purely based on football? Probably a bit of. I wasn't a loud character. I wasn't the loudest in the change room and stuff like that. And I think he liked those types of people. Okay. So that was probably, a little bit of that. Obviously, again, go back to the height thing. I wasn't the tallest of guys, and he liked big players. Yeah. So it was probably a bit of a combination of it all, really. Like I said, you barely know I was in the change room, really, because I was quiet. Okay. So I wasn't one of the loud characters like Flinny or like players like that, Pouch, Alan Pouch and players like that. I wasn't loud like that.
Okay.
Whereas there were, he liked people, loud characters and stuff like that, and like Charlie Lee and stuff like that. Chaz was like, a bit of a larger than life character and stuff.
Yeah.
And sort of like he kind of seems to sort of like take a shine to Chaz and stuff like that. So it's just I wasn't like that, and I just think that might have counted against me a little bit.
Okay.
So yeah, but it's like any line of work. Managers come in, some like you, some don't. So it's just you got to just get on with it, unfortunately.
And how was up until the January in terms of a footballing side of things and on the pitch? How was it to experience as a player? Like you say, you're in and out the side and that, but it was pretty successful few months.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like there was you'd go into every game thinking, right, we're going to win this. Doesn't matter who was in the team playing, whether it be lads that hadn't been starting for a while. Like, give Martin Allen his due. Like he knew everyone knew. He knew how to get everyone to know their jobs, and he really simplified it. Yeah. And yes, it was direct, and it was very, very simple stuff. But it was effective, and sort of it got us so many wins, especially on the road, which we've never been great on the road.
Yeah.
And it got us like 1-0 wins on the road from just a set piece, and they are big parts of winning games and winning titles. And like I said, love him or hate him, or whether he's your favourite of yours or not, then I'll give him credit for that. He was organised with how he wanted his teams to play and get them set up and stuff like that, and make them just really hard to beat. Not necessarily attractive, but hard to beat. And that sort of, when you've got a player like Dion Burton that can pop you a goal out of nowhere, then if the rest of you's organised, then you're going to win these games and 1-0 and stuff like that, which makes a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And obviously we spoke about you leaving in January, and you said you felt like you had no choice really. But did you think about staying on to sort of get that promotion?
Not looking forward to I was looking to the future of my own career. Like I just thought, well, if I stay, I won't be playing a great deal, and then I'm going to be out of contract in this summer, having not played a great deal.
Yeah.
Yes, I might have just enjoyed the celebrations of playing, of the sort of like the winning the league and stuff like that. But looking forward to the next season, I was kind of like 30 at that point, 31.
Yeah.
And having not played a great deal in League Two, it's like, what does that leave you to do then?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I needed to try and get out and try and play some games again and stuff like that, and that's why I chose. Because if I'd have stayed and subsequently the team won the league, I was out of contract in that summer. Yeah. So I know that mine wouldn't have offered me a contract, so it weakens my position of trying to find a club elsewhere. Yeah. So yeah, I took the decision to sort of like leave, and obviously it was a heart-wrenching one to do, and it was gutting to sort of like, on the one hand knowing that the team will probably go on and have a successful season, get promotion, but equally trying to sort of like, get the longitude of your career and try and look after yourself in that sense as well. Yeah. So yeah, it was tough. It was really tough. Really tough.
That's fair enough though. Like I can completely understand that. But like you say, it was a good year. Like you say, you enjoyed seeing Gillingham win the league. I remember.
Yeah. No, I was delighted for them, and and as soon as the lads had secured it, I messaged them and I messaged the chairman to say that I'm delighted for you and stuff like that, and and so I was I was not bitter towards it at all. But you just you got to expect that, or accept that sometimes things don't quite work out for you. Yeah,
no, it was a good year, and I remember your goal, even like now your goal against Exeter and stuff like that. So
no, it was good, and like I said, it was a good squad and some good lads in there as well. So it was it was good.
So when you left, why Kidderminster?
Like I said, I was 31. My little girl was due to be starting school in that September. And it was kind of it's only about half an hour away from where I was born and bred, where my family were, where my wife's family were living as well. So it's kind of like it's just sort of felt right, and it felt like obviously at the age of 31 that my travelling up and down the country, I'd felt that I'd done enough now, and it was time to settle my little girl into school and try and get her to have her life of getting her friends and stuff like that. Because what I didn't want to do was go, because I could have stayed in the league, but it would have meant going like a year up the north, and then a year maybe back down south again, or whatever, or a year contracts. Because when you get to 30 or over 30, unless you're like a striker, then deals are quite hard to come by. So I kind of made the decision to move back to Kiddie and play there, and they were kind of on the bit of the up and doing quite well at the time as well. So I thought, well, I'll give that a go, and it was still full-time football as well. So we trained full-time, which was good. So it was good. It was a good year, and we just missed out on by a point to going back up to League Two. So that was really heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
So that was so close to going back up. So that would have been ideal really, but it didn't quite work out.
In terms of the same year, when obviously Gillingham were winning the League Two, but you had your own battle at Kidderminster, like you say, just missing out on that top spot to Mansfield. And obviously just in the playoffs. How did that feel for you? Just in a bit more depth.
So when I remember speaking to Josh Gowlin, who used to play for Gills, obviously. I know Josh from playing with him and lived with him for a while I was there as well. And so Josh was already at Kiddie.
Right.
So I'd been in contact with him throughout the year and stuff like that. And they had a horrific start. The first 5 games they lost. And the next 5 games they drew. So they had 5 points after 10 games.
Yeah.
So they had an absolute stinking start, and normally Mansfield would have probably been sacked by them, but they stuck with him, and then they went on an unbelievable run from then on in.
Yeah.
And then obviously I joined in early Jan, and we just won more or less every other game pretty much, with draws thrown in there as well. And we got to the last game of the season where we beat Stockport at home 4-0, and we were waiting on the Wrexham versus Mansfield game that was on TV, and our game had finished, and we went in to watch them, and Wrexham had put out all their pretty much their reserve team.
Right.
They couldn't catch us, or they couldn't win the league, but they knew that they were going to be playing maybe us or Mansfield in the next playoff game the week later. So they rested the whole team. Mansfield played their strongest team. They needed to win to sort of win the league. If they'd have drawn the game, we would have gone up instead of them.
Yeah.
So it was really, really tight, and we were watching this game going on, and I think they got a goal or stuffy goal or whatever it was, and they won 1-0, and then they went up, and we kind of by a point we missed out, and so the playoffs, Wrexham beat us, and that was it. It was devastating. I think devastating for everyone at the club really at that point, because we were so close and we've been on such a run. It felt like Wrexham had sort of played it a little bit smarter, or kind of stitched us up a little bit, I suppose.
Yeah.
So that was hard to take.
Yeah, I was going to say that must be frustrating when you're waiting for the big game and then you see one team put out the reserves. So that's...
Yeah, it was quite rubbish to see really. But it was a dead game for them. They didn't need to play it because they couldn't move up or down in their position where they were. So it wasn't going to affect their final league position. So it was they just rested their players and they were all fresher for the following week, which is just frustrating really.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but.
Yeah.
Obviously, the aim was, I'm assuming, to go again the following year, but just missing out on the playoffs. How was the morale there?
Again, frustrating because you go from having a really good squad and winning a lot of games to then we had 1 or 2 bad eggs come into the squad.
Okay.
People that tried to sort of dictate things to the manager and stuff like that, and it was just a few players that made a change room really, really unhappy.
Okay.
And it split the change room, so things weren't as fluid as they had been. And that's the problem with when you make too many changes, and sometimes I find it at Northampton when you kind of try and change too much, it doesn't really happen. If you're not far off, you shouldn't change it too much, and that was the frustrating part from it because we weren't far off.
Okay.
But it fell apart a little bit, and again it was frustrating because there's a couple of bad eggs come in and just ruined the squad dynamics and stuff. So and that was that really. So it was a shame.
Do you think that is what contributed mostly to your decision to leave?
Yeah. There was that was it really. I just thought, I can't be staying there. And like I said, I was 33, 34, nearly at that age.
Yeah.
33. So again, I was just like, well, I'll just stay. And they were trying to make a cut costs and stuff like that. And the new manager that came in, he sort of said, well, you're on too much. And I said, look, because it's a local club to me, and I'll take a cut. And he said, oh, that'd be great if you can do that for the club. That'd be brilliant. And then I went on holiday, and when I was on holiday, I read in the press that I'd been released. So it was always nice.
Interesting.
So so that's part and parcel of that lower league stuff. It's not very professional at times with certain people. People just can't tell you the truth, which is a bit rubbish, but it is what it is.
Okay, interesting. And what about since leaving Kidderminster? How's your playing career gone since?
Yeah, well, I signed for my local team, Worcester City, and we had I had about three and a bit years there and stuff like that, and we had some brilliant cup runs. So we'd obviously have to go from the qualifying round, and we made it right through to the second round, which on a personal level is a massive achievement for a club like that.
Yeah.
We beat Coventry City away at Coventry.
Yep.
And then we drew with Scunthorpe at Scunny. And then we drew with them at our place and lost on penalties. So, we were kind of like one kick away from being in the third round. Yeah. So it's amazing, really, that sort of, that's when you've played in the FA Cup every year like I have, and it just takes you take it for granted a little bit when you play in the league. But these little teams and stuff like that, the buzz that it creates for the club and the money that it creates for the club is so big, and it can really make a massive difference. And that was probably a really, really proud moment for me, getting a team like that into helping get a team into the second round of the FA Cup.
Didn't you have some time at Redditch as well? Am I right in saying?
Yeah. So after Worcester, I had a spell with Darren Byfield, who was obviously at Gills. He was the manager, and he asked me to come in, and I played for him. I was 35, 36. And I said, look, just go and do some part-time football for him and stuff like that. And so I did that with him. I was his captain for a bit, and we had a really good year again. And outside influences of chairmans and stuff like that, and money getting told that it's there, then it's not, and squad falls apart. So it's just the politics of football, I suppose, that people don't see. Yeah. And so we played some really good football, and it's probably over the last 4 or 5 years, probably the football that I enjoyed the most, because it's the team that was built around it and stuff. So it was good. And and then I went to go to Bromsgrove last season and didn't really have the love for it anymore, and so I called it a day. Yeah,
and I think I'm right in saying as well, at both Worcester and Redditch, you did a bit of coaching, is that right?
Yeah, I done some coaching, and I coach for Villa now. I coach for Aston Villa, so I do some development centre stuff, and so I've been doing that for about 3 or 4 years now. So it's good. I enjoy it. I do enjoy coaching, trying to put my experience across to the younger ones, which is good.
How did you know coaching was for you? At what point?
It evolved, really. It evolved of just trying to kind of like get involved and help managers out and stuff like that, and take parts of it like that, and then started to enjoy it, and I just did my badges and stuff like that. So it was just really, really enjoyable. It's a different buzz, but it's it's never going to replace playing, but it's not a bad substitute.
Yeah, it's almost as close as you can get, I suppose, isn't it? So
yeah.
Give it a go. Is the whole Kickstarter thing you've got going on, is that part of it, or is that your own thing?
That's my own little business that I've got, and that's going really, really well at the minute, and really enjoying that. And that's from like toddlers all the way through to kind of 10, 11, 12-year-olds. So that it's just about trying to get kids into football and enjoying football and having fun games and skills and stuff like that as well.
And just finally, last couple of questions. What do you think the future holds for you?
At the minute, I am not in any rush to get back into full-time football or anything like that. Okay. I know how much of an unsteady and uncertain job it is. I've got friends that have kind of been assistant managers at clubs and inherited a bad squad or kind of a troublesome squad, and then you're out of a job then for months on end. Yeah. So it's not the most stable of jobs, and from my point of view, I need to try and build my business, and so I can have that working where I don't need to be there.
Yeah.
To then be able to go and explore those avenues possibly, because it is a big commitment and stuff like that. It is a lot of. I was a player manager for a while at Redditch as well. You know, some of the stuff you have to deal with is like unmanageable. So it is tough. So yeah, for now, not in any massive rush. Like I said, I've got my badges. It's just trying to wait for an opportunity to work with someone that, you know, wants me to come and work with them, and, you know, I want to work with them really.
And I will ask you, do you think we could ever see you back at Gillingham in some sort of form?
I don't know. It's like I said, it's. I'd love to say yes. You know, with my whole heart, I would absolutely love that. I'd move back down tomorrow if I could. But
yeah.
You know, it's having the right opportunities, and it's working with the right people, and everything like that as well. But you know, knowing the fabric of the club and knowing what it means to the passion of the club, of the people around it, then yeah, I definitely know that I'd fit in all right with it. It's just, you know, they're doing pretty well at the minute, so it's and long may that continue.
Yeah, of course. Danny, thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it. All the best.
And you guys too for the rest of the season when it starts again.
Thank you, cheers. So that's that for this episode of JFG Meets. I'd like to give another huge thank you to Danny for taking the time out of his day to chat to me. Please do like the video if you enjoyed, and feel free to leave a comment and subscribe to the channel as well. Please check out all of our other platforms, which can be found in the description, and do let us know anyone else related to the club that you think we should get on the show in the future. We do have a few episodes lined up already, so keep an eye out for those, and please check out all of our previous episodes as well if you fancy it. See you soon.